Finance career with our career development advisors. My name is Diane Jordan. I am going to open this session, but really it's all about our career development and the resources that we provide to you. Our students bring unique backgrounds, perspectives, and beliefs to MIT Sloan. These collective experiences create a rich educational experience and fuel the experimentation and transformation that is part of our mission to develop principled, innovative leaders who improve the world. Finance is a rapidly changing field that requires creativity and critical thinking. At MIT Sloan, we are giving you the tools and knowledge to equip yourselves to deal in an amazingly wide range of big strategic issues that you can be a part of. As an MFin student, you'll benefit from the guidance of experienced career advisors and customized resources as you design a plan to achieve your career goals. With support from the MIT Sloan Career Development Office and our main campus, you will develop career skills critical for today's competitive job market. Our hope is that the information you hear today will crystallize how the MFin program and the dedicated career sources can help you to achieve this and be a springboard for a lifetime career in finance. Before I continue, a few notes about today's session. Firstly, thank you to everyone who sent questions in advance. We've made every effort to address the ones and incorporate them that are universal during the session. Secondly, if you have additional questions, please use the online chat function to submit them, and we will respond as time permits. And last but not least, please send additional questions to our general MFin admissions email. So now I would like to turn it over to our career advisors, Laura and Emily, who are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, good morning, good evening, hello, and thank you all for joining us. I'm Laura Maloney Angoff, and I'm joined by Emily James. We'll give a brief bio of ourselves, but first we want to walk through what we will be discussing today. I'm going to change the slide. So the main goal, as Diane just alluded to, today we really want to help provide you with an understanding of the MFin employment outcomes and the career resources and support that students receive throughout the program. So we're going to walk through what is the Career Development Office. That's where Emily and I work. What do we do and what's our process? We'll talk to you about the MFin student experience and also the jobs and employment opportunities that students are accepting following the program. We're going to look specifically at a few recent graduates, and then we will talk about some frequently asked questions, many that were submitted by you prior to today's session. So a little bit about me. I've been with MIT Sloan for over 3 years now, working exclusively with the Masters of Finance students. Prior to coming to Sloan, I most recently was with Goldman Sachs. I had about a decade of financial industry experience ranging from quantitative research to investment banking and wealth management. And all of this experience has really helped me to be a great advisor to students in understanding the challenges that they face in the industry.
And as Laura mentioned, I'm Emily. I joined the MFin Career Development team about a year ago, and prior to joining the team here, I worked at Bain Capital for 8.5 years in a talent development role where I oversaw recruiting, talent management, and training for the private equity team. Before that, worked at McKinsey & Company here in Boston, where I actually recruited Sloan students years ago. And so that was my introduction to Sloan talent, and I'm really so happy to be back here working with our students as they look to launch their own careers in the finance industry. So with that, why don't we jump into the content here, and we want to start with just the CDO support and the various resources that we have for you throughout the program. So to start, there's many ways that we support you through advising, giving you access to different workshops and events, and other resources. And just to dive in a bit deeper into each of those categories. So I think the first one that really is something that Laura and I are so proud of is the amount of time that we spend with our students one-on-one. As we explained, we both do have industry experience that really helps us in being able to help you navigate the market and determine where best you may fit as you think about opportunities within finance following graduation. we meet with students on average 5 times a year during their job search process. And I think, some students will meet with far more than that. Others, we may meet with a bit less, but we really tell our students, come to us. We are here to support you for everything through career exploration at the very beginning, through helping you craft that, really impactful resume and cover letter, to, my favorite part, which is mock interviews with students, helping you prepare for various interviews, and all the way through offer negotiation and evaluation. So, we hope that our students, take full advantage of all that we have to offer, Laura and myself. In addition to that, you have access to jobs, a number of jobs through MIT and MIT Sloan. So the CDO, the Career Development Office at MIT Sloan, has an entire job portal with opportunities for MFin students. Additionally, as MFins, you benefit from the offerings that our colleagues over at CAPD on MIT's main campus have, and many of our MFin students access jobs through that portal as well. We put together resume books that we're sharing with employers, just many different ways for you to be exposed to many different opportunities based on your skill set. Laura and I also offer a number, over 20 career education workshops throughout your time here. Everything from, again, early career exploration through LinkedIn, networking, how to be most effective in your professional communications, and as I mentioned before, the interview prep and the evaluation of offers. There are a number of events throughout the year that are targeted specifically for you, starting with an MFin networking night in the fall, as well as a MIT-wide career fair. We make special visits to a couple of companies, including Barclays and Bank of America Merrill Lynch, for different networking and educational events. And then MIT Sloan hosts a career fair later in the spring as well, in addition to a number of opportunities that are led by experts and alumni in the field. And then finally, we have a number of resources for you, everything from access to Bloomberg terminals to what we call a Strengths Finder assessment that really helps you to discover what your natural strengths are and how to utilize those and lean on those in your job search. We have a number of AI resources available to help with resumes and LinkedIn preparation, as well as an entire resource of interview prep resources through a company called Wall Street Prep. So, a lot here to support you, and we certainly look forward to that opportunity. One thing that is actually new this year is we have launched a new career website, and so it's called Your CDO, and it's actually a public website that you can access now if you'd like to just get a sense for what our students have access to. Everything from, we do some blog posts on different topics, such as, how can you be effective with a hire view interview, which is a new technology that a lot of companies are doing, to, some more specific information for our students around reminders about upcoming workshops, et cetera. So, we can follow up with a link to this website, but just wanted to give you a sneak peek of what you have access to now. And then once you matriculate, you'll actually have access to every additional resources through this portal as well.
So what does the journey actually look like? I think one of the most common questions we often get is, why does the program start in summer? And a real reason for that is because the recruiting experience happens early for the finance industry. A lot of the bulge bracket banks and now even more asset managers as well, they're beginning their recruiting early, which could be late summer and certainly early fall. So we want to help you be prepared as early as possible for these opportunities, and having the opportunity to work with us during the summer in person is a great way to prepare you. But even before that, we want to help you once you're becoming an MFin. So this is what the process looks like. We think about it really in 3 different segments. On the left side of the screen, you see pre-matriculation. So this is once you've been admitted to the program, we're going to give you access to additional career resources, many of which you'll be able to access through that website Emily just mentioned. You'll be able to have resources to help you explore yourself really reflect on what are your strengths, what are your interests, what is it that you want to get out of the program, and then explore the work opportunities. So there are so many opportunities available to MFins, and we think it's fantastic when a student comes into the program and is very focused and knows what they want to do, and we can help support you. But we are also able to help you learn about opportunities that you may not even know exist that are, your dream job could just await. So we have resources to help you learn about what those opportunities might be and how you could best utilize your talents. And additionally, we have some real tactical resources available for you so that you could get your resume prepared in advance, your LinkedIn profile. We have guidelines on how to best represent yourself as an MFin student, and we even offer virtual advising on those resources even before you come to campus. So once you're admitted, we're very engaged in offering you a lot of support throughout your career journey. Then in the middle bucket, you'll see during orientation week. So before classes begin, right when you get on campus, there's a lot of fun activities during orientation. And one of the days is dedicated to career. So 2 years ago, we launched what's called our Career Boot Camp. And this is a full day dedicated to career workshops, which are led by staff, alumni, and industry professionals, and we really walk through everything you're going to need to know throughout the summer, from technology and resources to what does the recruiting timeline look like, and then we'll actually start getting into giving you some advice. So it's a really fun day, it's interactive. We have sessions aligned with the concentration, so there can be really specialized educational events on financial engineering, capital markets, or corporate finance, and you get to pick and choose. You can go to all three, or you can go to two of which you would like to go and use that third hour for more individual advising. It's a really fun hands-on day. And it's intense, so it's not the only time that you get to hear from us. We just want to give you all the information as early as possible because we recognize that students are eager to get started on their career, but it's a lot of information. So we also have workshops throughout the year, many of which can be reminders or really building on some of the foundational skills that you'll develop starting with boot camp. So as Emily mentioned, we have over 20 different workshops throughout the program. We offer individual advising really anytime that you're in need, we're available. There are many special events, some of which are exclusive to MFins, some are on campus or in the Boston area, and others are in New York, which is just a short 3-hour bus ride away. We bring in industry experts to help you prepare for the technical interviews. And those are fantastic resources because we really want to make sure that you're able to have the practice and knowledge and build that skill set so that you will be able to get past those technical interviews that many of you will be facing. And then one of the other things that's just great about becoming a part of the MFin community is that you become a part of the MIT community. So our alumni and fellow students and other programs are very engaged, and there's many opportunities to interact with them and learn throughout the year.
Great. So employment outcomes. This is obviously something that you all are very interested in hearing and is something that we're very proud of here at Sloan. So, I'm going to start with the bottom left, 100% reporting rate. So all of our employment outcomes, and this is all from our 2018 MFin Employment Report. Our new one should be coming out in the next month or so. But we are very proud to report that 100% of our graduates complete our employment survey, which I think is a great statistic showing how engaged our students are, and means that we can really take all of the data and look at it and analyze it and come back to you and share what it all means. So, with that, we have 99% of our students receive full-time offers by 6 months post-graduation, and the majority of that group has received an offer by the time they're leaving campus, either in February or in May. We also are very proud to report that for our 18-month students, 100% of them, in 2018, and this is not uncommon, have completed an internship. And so, again, that internship is such a huge part of their journey and in figuring out their kind of full-time career path. And so, another number that we are extremely proud of. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail within the report on the next slide, but you should know that you can actually find this report online. I actually just find it usually by Googling. A lot of MIT's resources can be found that way. So just Google MIT MFin Employment Report, and you'll come to a page where you can find both the 2018 report as well as reports all the way back to, I believe, 2012. So, please look for those, and I think they're a great wealth of knowledge there. You'll also see we have the MBA reports on the same page. So to dive a bit deeper into the accepted full-time offers, the data on that side, students often ask, about the types of functions that our graduates go into. And as you'll see on the left-hand side of the page, the vast majority of our graduates are going into IBD transaction advisory roles, 28%, and quantitative analysis roles, 21%. Very closely followed by asset management roles for 17% of the 2018 grads landed jobs there. We then have 11%, in 2018 went into either economic or financial consulting roles. And then you'll see, 3 to 7% ended up in fintech, other finance, sales and trading, private equity, venture capital, and data science. So we feel like, our students are going. This covers a large swath of the industry, a lot of different opportunities, that we're very proud our students are able to land in the industry. On the right side of the page, you'll see, students often ask, where do they get jobs? We have a lot of students coming to us from elsewhere other than the U.S., and a lot of them have, a strong desire to stay in the U.S. following the program. And you'll see that 66% of our graduates in 2018 ended up securing roles in North America, and then 10% in Europe, and then the remaining. Why can't I see? And I can't do the math. Is it?
It's about, I think it's about a quarter.
24. Yeah, sorry if I could do math. So I'm an advisor, but I am not in the program myself, although I can do math. So 24% in Asia. And I do think this is very indicative of what our students are looking for when they come. So, there are a number of students who come to this program and are very eager to return to their home country or, want to secure a job internationally, but then there is a large percentage that are looking to stay in the U.S. So we're very proud of these statistics as well. In the middle there, you'll see our select employers. This is just, some of the names of places where our graduates have gone. And, some of these names we send a number of graduates to each year. Others, we may just send one or two. And, these hopefully are all names that you recognize and that really cover a broad array of the different industries represented as well, or the functions represented as well.
So we thought it would be helpful if we actually gave you some examples of profiles of either current students or recent alumni. Many times it's great to hear the aggregate data, but they want to know specifically what are students doing. So I'm going to walk through this. There's a lot on the slide, but starting with the first student, this is Pavel. He came directly from undergrad into the program. He was an economics major, and prior to MFin, he had done internship in equity research more on the fundamental level, and he was able to use MFin program to really develop a deep quantitative skill set. He had a quant trading internship at Citadel, and then joining full-time jump trading in Chicago. Now, he wanted to be in Chicago. We do have a lot of students go into Chicago, but you'll see from some of these other profiles, many go to New York. It's actually the #1 city which we have our graduates working. So Pavel's a great example of someone who came with a fundamental background and was able to really transition into a more quantitative role. Next we have Shikyu. She was a math economics major. She came to the program with 3 years of full-time work experience. So she was targeting more of the associate level positions. She had a background experience in real estate and really wanted to transition into like private equity real estate and became very focused on that search. She was also an 18-month student and did an internship with GIC here in the Boston area, received a return offer and was thrilled to accept early on. We have Dennis, who's an MFin, who was always focused on investment banking. He had an investment banking internship prior to MFin. He knew that that was his passion, and from day one, he wanted to work in the APAC region following MFin. So he was very targeted in his approach. He secured an investment banking internship in Hong Kong throughout the summer and returned the full-time offer and will be joining them when he graduates. So, I think Dennis is an example of someone who, we do support students both finding offers in the US as well as internationally. And then we have Nicole here. So Nicole was an applied math major. You see a lot of themes with the backgrounds in these majors, but she had done some quant internships at different funds in China that may not have been as well recognized in the US, but she had that experience and was able to really transition during the program to be an attractive talent for Goldman Sachs, where she did a quant internship in New York City and has joined their office full time. So she's been there now for about a year or more. She's a recent graduate. Then we have a couple of 12-month students for profiles for you. So this is Laura. She was a math and computer science major. She also had full-time work experience, which was at Bridgewater, but really on the account management side. And she wanted to transition more into being an investor role and really have an active role with trading. So she is now a trader at State Street here in the Boston area. And lastly, we have David. So David also came directly from undergrad university. He had some internship experience. Most recently, he had quant research experience, and he knew that that was something he was really interested in, but he really wanted to be working with credit, and he secured a credit trading role at JP Morgan in New York. So Laura and David at the bottom there are 12-month students, and the first 4 examples are of the 18-month program. So we hope that this provides, a mix of specific examples of students and how that they're really using the MFin program to reach their goals. And it's really fun. I do have all these stories on the slides, but Emily and I know each one of these students individually, and I think this is something that we find really rewarding by being career advisors, to be able to see these students go throughout their journey and support them in their career success. It's really what makes this role for us most meaningful.
And honestly, then they come back and they look to hire more MFin.
Yep.
And so I think that is also another really great part of the program.
Very true, very true. So, this completes the prepared remarks that we had, but we did take a look at all of the questions that you had submitted prior to today's webinar. I believe there are some questions coming through right now as well that we can review, but first let's take a stab at answering some of the questions that you submitted in advance. So they really fell into these 4 buckets. Questions about choosing the right program, is this the right program for you? Questions about being an international student, and jobs questions, of course, and then just general advice on what you can be doing now for your career. So do you have a preference? Would you like to
why don't you do the first one and I'll do the second one.
Okay, so first question we had is, which program is right for me? Should I be in the 12-month program or the 18-month program? So I think admissions has a lot of resources to help you understand which program might be right for you for a number of reasons. But looking at it from a career perspective, if you are someone who has full-time work experience and wants to strengthen your financial knowledge and continue in that same career direction, a 12-month program might be suitable for you to just come to the program, take some additional classes, strengthen your skills, and go back into the marketplace. If you're looking to make a transition in your career, you have work experience, then you may be interested in having the 18-month program for the opportunity to do an internship. during the summer as a chance to test something new to transition in your career path. We do have students that are coming directly from undergrad. That's the majority of our students. And they do go into a mix of both the 12-month and 18-month program. So please do know that we have students coming right from undergrad that are successful in the 12-month program. But if you have not had much work experience, meaning internship experience, then we think that the 18-month program can be a great path for you, because in the finance industry, they really do value having that financial internship experience on your resume. So not to jump ahead, but that's something else that you can be doing between now and enrolling. If you have the opportunity to do a financial internship, that can be a great experience for you to build, and for also you to get a better understanding of what you're really interested in. And I know I'm talking probably too long, but I will say there are, in the 18-month program, you have the opportunity to do the summer internship, but there are many opportunities to really build skills throughout the program. And the action learning projects, specifically the finance research practicum during the January term, is a great chance to work for an employer and build skills. So if you are in the 12-month program, you do have that opportunity to have an experience that has the look and feel of an internship, and it's really quite popular with MFins.
So next question, just around how much finance experience should I have? Laura touched on this a bit, but I think this program is great for, first of all, the most important thing is that you have a passion for finance and real interest in this, in entering the industry or remaining in the industry. So this program really is for everyone, from someone straight out of undergrad who's looking to, jumpstart their career in finance, to someone who does have a couple years of work experience. And so, as Laura mentioned, if you're someone who doesn't have any work experience, having an internship during undergrad is a great way to get you that early exposure. But it's also not necessary. What's most necessary is just, having that real interest and passion for the industry.
Okay, so these are questions about international concerns. So one of the biggest questions we get is, do international students get jobs in the U.S.? And the answer is yes. So we are a largely international program. It's about 85% of the last class was international. And so everything that we do from a career perspective for career resources is with the perspective of how can we help international students. That's always one of the, we're always saying, how can we help students? And we recognize where you are. So from the employment report, Emily shared that 66% of the graduates accepted full-time jobs in the U.S. from the most recent class. And I will say that it's a global program, and so it's important for you to note that that is reflective of where students choose to accept opportunities. I've worked with students who've had a job in APAC and as well as a full-time job in the US, and they choose that maybe if they're from that region, they want to be closer to home, and so they may decline the US role and they accept the APAC role. So you may not necessarily see in the employment report where they had the options, you just see where they chose to work. So it's reflective of personal interests, but typically we see that students have a lot of success in finding and securing roles in the US if that's what their priority is.
In terms of what the recruitment opportunities look like for jobs outside of the U.S., we do have a number of companies, especially those with a global presence, who do post jobs through our portals and even do interview either on campus or often in New York, to be honest, for roles outside of the U.S. And so many of our students are going through interview processes like those. The other big piece, and this is very similar to the students who are targeting U.S. opportunities, is just networking. And so, one of the things that we haven't touched on a ton, but is a skill set that both Laura and I are very proud to be helping our students with, is just teaching you effective networking strategies that you can then use as you're targeting roles both in the US as well as outside of the US. And I'll just quickly answer this last one just because I feel like it's the next thing I was going to say, but in terms of whether there's a different process for supporting international students in their job search, the process is exactly the same. Laura and I are your main point of contact, and we'll be guiding you through that process. You know, the additional resources actually our international student office, where, you know, oftentimes we'll say you may have a specific question, and we'll say, you know, your best resource for that will be the ISO, the International Student Office. And so, you know, the high level, you are getting the same support from us, and you will have the additional support of that office.
Yeah, and what I'll just add to that is that, I mean, this is really where the individual student advising is most helpful, is that we'll develop the plan with you as to what's going to be the best career strategy, because oftentimes students will have perhaps their top two career goals. So in the example of Dennis earlier, he was completely set on investment banking, and he did want to be in Hong Kong, but we also talked about, okay, what other regions, if you're going to be focused on one function, maybe let's think about one function in multiple geographies for you to look at. For those that are very much geographically focused, where they may know they want to be in one specific region, you know, David, who was on that slide, he wanted to be in New York specifically, not just US. He was very focused on New York City. He was interested in both. You want to be on credit, but we talked about looking at both trading roles as well as perhaps research or structuring roles. So making sure that you have enough opportunities available for you to be successful, but still being focused and making sure that you're on the right path to reach the goals that you came to the program for. Okay, so lots of questions on jobs and employers that we get. The first question, I'll just touch on it, is we have a lot of students curious that are very interested in quant roles, and they want to know if the MFin program is going to be right for you. One of the things that I think we pride ourselves in is having a flexible curriculum, so that students from all different backgrounds can really come and customize the program to best suit their needs. So if you are interested in really quant roles, you can concentrate in financial engineering. You can take PhD level courses. You can take challenging classes, you can develop the skills. We have seen students be very successful. Think about Pavel, who I spoke to earlier, who had the fundamental equity research background, but through taking a financial engineering curriculum, you know, worked at Citadel and is now going to jump trading as a trader. So yes, it can be right for you if you're interested in quant. If you're not interested in quant, you also have the options to take other courses.
So another question around just what jobs and internships are available for MFins in New York, and how close are we to New York and to Wall Street? So, you know, there are a number of jobs and internships, and as Laura alluded to earlier, you know, the majority of those who stay in the US are actually securing jobs and internships in New York City. And Boston, for those who haven't visited us here, is very close to New York. In fact, it's an hour shuttle ride, and that's by plane, and those shuttles run on the hour. And then there's also a train where you can get to New York in as quickly as 3.5 hours by train. So very accessible, and a number of our students do end up there, and you know, so very possible for you.
Mm-hmm. Actually, to that, students don't have classes on Friday during fall term, and so oftentimes Friday or Thursday night, but Friday becomes a big interview day for students, or just a networking day where they'll take a bus or train to New York City and meet with an employer and come back that same day. So it's very easy for students to do, or they might make a fun weekend trip out of it as well. So we have you know, that's the #1 city where our students do join. So the next question about do MFins accept analyst or associate level roles? This is really going to depend on your own background and experience prior to MFin. The majority of our MFin students are coming directly from undergrad, and therefore are accepting analyst level positions. You know, this is an early career program. However, students who've had 2 years of work experience or more are very much more competitive at the associate level role, and we've seen some students come in at, you know, a second-year analyst level. So it depends on your background, and that's something that Emily and I can help you evaluate when you're in the program. It's going to depend, but it would be both, but majority is probably that analyst level if you're coming from undergrad.
So the recruiting timeline and process, so, you know, that really runs throughout the entire program, to be honest. And as Laura mentioned, the reason we start early is some opportunities end up, you know, starting, you know, kind of in the late summer, early fall. And so, you know, depending on what you're targeting, we have a very good understanding of when roles will be posted and when they'll likely be hiring. And, you know, we will share all of that with you upon matriculation. We do not want to overwhelm you with it now, but just know that that support is there and in place from the moment you get on campus.
Okay. And then, you know, question about what kind of jobs are increasing in demand in the finance industry. And one of the trends that we see is that employers are really valuing the skill set, the quantitative skill set. So across all roles, so even the fundamental roles, they're still valuing that fundamental skill set, but they want to make sure that you have a certain level of proficiency, some more quantitative and modeling skills. And so that's something that employers recognize, that all of the MFin graduates come out of this program with that skill set. So if there's one trend I think that we're seeing more, you know, big data, AI, really, you know, technology is impacting the landscape of jobs. But employers are recognizing the talent within our graduates.
And then our final question, final bucket is just around what can I do now to prepare? How can I, you know, what should I be focusing on in the months leading up to the start of the program? And we've touched on a bit of this, but, you know, just really high level, I think, you know, if you do have the opportunity to do a finance internship prior to the program and haven't already, it's a great way to just get you some early exposure to the industry, and, you know, something that you'll be able to then speak to and utilize as you're going through the recruiting process once you're in the program itself. Any kind of programming courses or math courses or refreshers, if you haven't, you know, taken those classes, or, you know, are out and working and it could benefit from just a refresher course, I think would be really good preparation. You know, we mentioned networking. It's never too early to just start talking to the folks in your own network and to be building that network and just, you know, learning about the various roles and opportunities that could be available to you, you know, and thinking about what might be of most interest to you once you do start the program. You know, once you're admitted, you'll actually get access to a website with additional resources to just customize for the kind of entering MFin. And we just really encourage you to take advantage of all of those resources, that you're coming to campus, you know, ready to jump in, both to the program itself academically, but then also to the career portion as well. So, you know, but we're looking forward to hopefully getting to know you very soon.
Great. So I know we ran a little late. I don't know if there's any time for any.
We could probably take a couple of questions. Maybe there was one on if you have nearly 3 years experience, you know, is the MFin program going to be the right program for me? So maybe talk a little bit about that.
So if you have 3 years of work experience, of course, I don't know your specific background, but the average MFin has about 17 months of work experience prior to the program, and that includes internship experience. I think that the majority, you know, 3/4 are coming directly from undergrad, but we do have students that come each year from 2 to 4 years of work experience, and they're really able to use the MFin program to really catapult in their careers, or maybe they have started in one area of finance and they're looking to transition to another area of finance. So if you have 3 years of work experience, I would encourage you to learn more about the program, assess whether or not you think it's a great fit for you and what your career goals are. There's a lot of resources on the website for you, but if your focus is finance, then we welcome you. We would love to have you in the program.
Great. And maybe we'll take one more that has to do with the employers coming to campus. I know you guys mentioned that we definitely have employers, but maybe talk a little bit more about that and how it works.
Yep. Yeah, so we do. So a number of our employers do come directly to campus, both for presentations, oftentimes during lunch as well as in the evening. They also host, what we call coffee chats. So, opportunities to speak one-on-one or two-on-one with an employer to learn a bit more about them and for you to learn more about the company, them to learn more about you. So, those are probably the two main ways that our employers come to campus. And actually, additionally, we, may host some panels where it may be a specific, topic where we have, a few different companies represented, but on the panel, so they may not be talking in such detail about their particular company, but more, focused on the industry as a whole. Anything else to add?
Yeah, well, we spoke to the career fair that happens in September. There's more than 300 or 400 companies that come to that, if I think that's the data. And so that's a really fun event. Students love going there every single year, and you get to meet with so many different employers. We have dedicated events exclusive just for MFin. So the MFin networking night that happens early in fall. It's about 36 employers that come, and usually we have a high success rate on students securing offers with those companies. I mean, it's more than 50% usually end up working for the companies that come to that event. So there's a lot of different ways that employers are coming to campus, and many of them, as Emily mentioned, can be alumni, and so they're excited to come back and they want to know what's happening at MIT these days, and so they're excited to get to know you, and it's fun for us to watch.
Great, good. Okay, well, I think we are at the end of our time, unfortunately. This is all wonderful information. I hope all of you who have joined us today appreciate this wealth of information and are excited about learning more. We have our application live on the website. The deadline is January 6th. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. We would look forward to seeing your applications. I'm also going to mention, because I know there were a number of people on the chat on the webinar who also asked some questions that were more admissions related. We are going to host a webinar on December 4th on the admissions process and application tips. You do not have to wait until December 4th to ask your questions. We are more than happy to answer them through our MFin admissions website. So please, I promise you, it does not go into a deep black hole. Please send your questions to us. I would also want to make sure that you check out our admissions events page for other events that are happening. And there's also a link to previous webinar recordings. We had one called Want to be a Quant, which is all about the curriculum and the focus on the aspects of the curriculum that focus on quantitative finance coursework. It was led by our finance faculty director, as well as our assistant dean. We had a couple of students and an alum who joined that webinar, so definitely check it out. And then more recently, we also had a student experience panel. We had several students who, both in the 12 and the 18-month, who again have talked about some of the things that they've really been enjoying as being part of the MFin program and the overall MIT ecosystem. So definitely check those out. Again, thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate your time and look forward to getting to know you through our application.